Bitch Please, the show where we talk about video games. I'm Ashley.
I'm Gus.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Alfredo.
And this episode is brought to you by Audible and MeUndies. We'll talk about both of our sponsors more in a little bit. They are two of my favorites, so I'm very excited about those. Pretty happy. But it's been a couple weeks since we recorded an episode. Technically, there was an episode that came out last week, but it was pre-recorded because last week was the live event week, so there was this whole big thing, so we recorded the week before, so it's actually been 2 weeks since we all got together.
It's been longer for me. I've been gone for a while.
You've been gone super long. I mean, you did pop in with that cameo about what you're playing and how we're wasting your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for stealing someone's question.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
We do what we can to waste your time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
was fine.
like my mission in life. Is
I was happy to hear that
Gus's
you were
time.
playing Darkest Dungeon.
Someone else there didn't get to ask a question because of that question.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
How are you gonna live with that?
Pretty easily.
Yeah.
Pretty easily. How was that event? You have fun?
It was good. Yeah. Alfredo was there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys, you were talking to programmers. You're going through Full Sail, getting
Not
into
necessarily
game
just
development.
programmers. It's people.
Also
it's like-
artists,
yeah.
animators.
Yeah.
People trying to make movies, all kinds of things, and just in the social media.
That's really cool. All kinds of things in the social media.
Yeah. I'm mixing words.
Buzzwords.
Yeah.
Content.
There's all the buzzwords.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a million of them.
Yeah.
So-
it was good though. We met a lot of people and did some talks.
That's
So,
great.
Yeah.
Blast zone out here.
That's great. And what have you been playing? I mean, I guess we got a lot to talk about here
Dude.
since it's been so long.
It's been a hefty gaming week.
Yeah. Still been playing Darkest Dungeon. Finally finished my ultra hard playthrough of Horizon Zero Dawn, which I'm very happy about.
Was that a pain in the ass?
It wasn't that bad.
So are you platinumed now?
Yeah, I was already platinumed, but then
you
they added more
re-platinumed?
achievements. Yeah, or
And you did all the DLC achievements
Yeah.
other than okay.
Can you get once you've got the platinum, they're not going to take it away.
Right, you still have it, but you don't have 100% of the game,
Right.
the trophy. So I had to and that was what I wanted. I wanted to go back and 100% it.
It would be nice if they could give you a re-platinum. Like
Yeah.
you get a little an extra star or just a little spit polish on the platinum.
The thing
that
I didn't
you got.
understand is so the last two I needed were complete an ultra hard playthrough on New Game Plus and complete a New Game Plus playthrough. So I just did all at once.
Yep.
Getting the ultra hard New Game Plus playthrough was a silver trophy and not a gold.
Why?
I was like, that seems like that should be a gold, but whatever.
I'm getting very resentful of trophies right now.
Why is that?
Final Fantasy X still.
Oh God, yeah.
So I ended up writing a journal about this
Still
because
on that train.
I needed to express my frustration. I'm getting through it. I am getting through it. But last time we talked about this, I was just starting the grind, I think. So at the time, I was probably 80, 90 hours in. I'm at 160 now.
Oh, geez.
And it's 100%, it's been 100% grind. For that entire period of time. I spent the equivalent of 2 full work weeks playing the grind. No,
I see. You did
just the
okay,
grind.
Gotcha.
That's what I've done with my life.
So 8 to 5 for 2 weeks, Monday to Friday.
I basically doing the same fight over and over and over and over
It'll
again.
amount to something someday.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. One of the best moments of my life, the whole pushing the baby out, or I'm assuming
Wow.
that this is
Okay.
exactly how painful as actual pregnancy is. I haven't tried that yet, but it's definly can't be more painful than this, right?
How many more hours do you think you need?
5.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
that close.
You're gonna do it today then? probably.
I might. Yeah, I took some time out because I've been playing Kingdom Come Deliverance, which we'll talk about more in a few minutes, and also. I've been playing Subsurface Circular. I got an early code for it. It's coming out for the Switch. It's Mike Bithel's new game.
Okay.
So, he was the dude who made Thomas is Alone. And it's just got such a really cool narrative style. So that when we got the code, I was like, I need to check this out. It's already been on mobile and
You said
Steam.
he was the dude who made Thomas Was Alone,
He was
right?
the dude.
Okay. I thought you said the douche for a second.
No,
I got dude out of it.
That's why I looked at you weird when you were talking. I was like, what?
I was like,
Yeah,
I recall
just
us all
wanna make sure.
liking
That was
this
me.
because when we played that for Game Club, I was like, I thought y'all liked it, but maybe.
Okay, no. That's all.
Fan?
I misheard.
Okay.
I misheard.
Damn.
Miscommunication.
Okay,
Thomas is Alone was good.
So I've taken some time out of the grind to play a couple of other things at least, but no, I'm very, very close. One of the big things was I showed you that big ass sphere grid. You have to go through and complete every single thing, and you have to fill in all the empty spots with spots, and then fill them in. And I finally did it with my first character, so now it's all the other characters are just following basically through that path. And the only annoying thing is that I have to get about 50 of this one type of activation, and every monster I fight, I have to get 50 for each character. And there's this one monster I fight where when I defeat him, I get 2. So each character is like 25
Yes.
fights. And so it's going to be like another 100 fights that the fight lasts like a minute and a half, 2 minutes each.
Oh, okay.
So I'm very close now. It was just getting through the initial filling out of the
Is it easy to find that monster to fight?
Oh yeah, he's in what's called the monster arena, so I can fight him at will.
Oh, okay.
So it's easy, it's
It
constantly.
would suck if it's like a random encounter thing and you have to like walk around to find it.
Yeah, I've been binging Futurama just to have something
In the
to entertain
background.
me while I'm like essentially just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. I'm like through like season 5.
Jesus.
Or wait, no, am I on season? I'm on the season that came back and they were like, look at us being back. I'm on that season. So.
See, I'll spam like doing public events, but things like that and like the loot cave, I can't. Like this is too much.
I shouldn't be doing this to myself. I really shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm worried that it's going to tarnish my view of Final Fantasy X
I'm
forever.
sure it is, yeah.
But I'll have the platinum.
God.
I promised myself I would get it, and I
You'll have
don't.
a
Like, I just
Vita
don't want to. Look, it counts. It still counts. And then I can do Final Fantasy X too.
No, that's crazy, man.
There was one other game I want to hop in real fast that I did play. I can't believe I'd never played it before, but I invaded the Achievement Hunter stream yesterday and I played Dead by Daylight with them.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
I think it
awesome.
was my second game ever. I think Ryan sent me an invite by accident.
So Ryan sent him an invite.
So you just join on.
Yeah, so Ryan sent him an invite by accident, and then literally like a half an hour later, Jeff like was slamming at his desk and disconnected his internet, which as that happens.
As
and then
he does.
And then Gus just jumped in and we're like, what the fuck? Gus is here. I'm like, the shit? And then Ryan was like, wait, is that really Gus? He's like, no, that's Gus. And then we checked the messages and Gus was like, oh, I don't have the game. Let me download it. So off of like a random invite from Ryan, he takes like the game, downloads it, and then jumps in.
And I think like in chat, someone was like, hi Gus, and I wrote, y'all are fucked. This is the first time I'm playing this game.
Yeah, we read that out loud too. We were testing out the new Saw character on the stream, and Gus's head
It blew
right
up.
off.
Nice. Yeah. So how was your experience?
It was fun. It's a good game.
It's a fun
and I've
game.
watched, Achievement Hunter videos on it before, and I've watched people play it, and I always thought it was fun. And it was one of those games where it's like, one day I'm going to buy that. And then this was finally like, oh, this is the day. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to finally play it. And it's fun,
It was the perfect timing too. It was like right after Jeff's internet went out. It was like, okay. Gus
No,
is
that's
here.
great.
You could just take the spot.
You just, one drop sound. They're basically the same person, just like replace one
It
with
made
the
for a
other.
great moment.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the other game I played.
That's awesome. And then you didn't get to elaborate on it when you were at Full Sail, but how are you finding Darkest Dungeon?
Darkest Dungeon's fun.
How far are you? Have you gotten to the darkest dungeon?
No, I have not. But
There is a dark
Just
Yeah, there is.
there's just a slightly dark dungeon.
that
right
game
now.
does not.
Dungeon.
He's at the dim dungeon.
That game does not hold your hand.
No.
Like all of the information you need is there, but it doesn't tell you that it's there. Like I was talking with Gilby about this. Like was it last week or the week before? Is when you're first starting, you got like your party of 4 people, and you're going through a dungeon. As you recruit new people, I didn't know necessarily where they should sit in the party order. And that information is there. If you look at the person, there's like a little preferred placement thing. But it's like there's just so much to go through and so much to learn. And that's not necessarily a bad thing that it doesn't hold your hand. I think it's good because
It's
then,
very classic design.
right, as you need to figure stuff out or as you're learning more stuff in the game, you begin looking for the information. As opposed to them just hitting you with a really long tutorial that takes you out of the game or that you're going to forget everything. It's just like as you're learning and as you're figuring stuff out, you're like, I wonder what this is or I wonder how to do this. It's like then you go actively on your own and you find it. But that does lead to frustrations. Like my first playthrough, I got to a point where I was like, all right, I need to delete this and start over. And you're just like, okay, I'm starting the game over.
This was the tester. That was your tutorial run.
Right.
Yeah. For those who don't know, like you have a party of characters, and you can royally fuck up your game by losing people too much, and eventually, like I had to restart my first game too because you kind of use it as a learning game, even though it's like 10, 15 hours of learning.
It was my entire
Playing
flight
with
to
their
Australia.
lives.
It was like 15 hours of playing. I was like, okay, time to delete this. Let me start over.
But it's fun. It's fun restarting and then maximizing your team. That game is.
Well, and,
Yeah, I'm
and
glad you're playing it.
as a summary, so it's a side-scrolling party-based like dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in which your characters are susceptible to different mental ailments. Some will handle stress better than others, and so on. And you have your party in an order as you're going through the dungeon. Someone may prefer to be first or last or somewhere in the middle, but different attacks can also swap them in their places and like move them around. So you have to try and manage the mental fortitude of your party as well, because the worse it gets, the worse they're going to do.
Yeah, and you got to.
And you're going to lose them.
And you have to outfit them for the dungeon, like you saw there in that little clip. One of the party members is holding a torch, and like you have to maintain this torch. There it is.
Yeah.
You got to make sure it's bright enough, otherwise, if it gets too dark, people start freaking out.
Yeah. And like you can't rely on a single team, because if you go out on a dungeon with a team, chances are when you come back, they're going to need to like chill out because their insanity is going to be too high, and if it fills up, they like go crazy.
Or they do unpredictable things.
Yeah.
Right.
So you need to like balance multiple teams, and there's things that, like you said, they don't tell you that. Like I know I needed torches, but my first few times going into a dungeon, I'd bring like a few, and then people in chat were yelling at me like, "Dude, you have to bring like 20 torches."
Yeah.
I was like, I have no idea, but it's a good game, man.
It's fun.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah. If you're streaming and can get advice from people in chat, that's always a big help.
Yes.
They can be your tutorial.
Yeah.
Did you get the Crimson Court DLC or just the base game?
Just the base game.
Okay. Crimson Court makes it. There's more stuff that makes it
Is
harder.
the darkest dungeon?
There is, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm playing on the
harder?
Switch,
Darkest
so
Star?
I got it right before we went down
Darkest?
to RTX Sydney. So I need to pick it back up. I've only been playing it on the plane, so I need to pick it back up and like really sit down and play it some more.
Do you like reedy type games at all?
It depends. Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay, so this subsurface circular game, the Mike Bethel game, basically
Fancy name for Underground Train.
it's underground. It's a underground
I got it.
train riding sim in which you play a robot detective
Oh.
who
Go on.
one robot asks you to look into mysterious disappearances of other robots. They're called techs, but they're robots. And so you're on the train the entire time. You're in your seat, and you just question techs that get on and off with the idea of getting specific information to solve these disappearances.
Was the murder on the train?
No, it's just like someone on the train asked you to look into disappearances, but you are...
You can't leave the train. You have specific programming. You're too smart. Like there's different classes of robots.
You're a smart robot.
And you're a smart robot, but they want the smart robots to be confined, so that dude never leaves his seat.
Yeah.
So
And he's a detective.
and you're talking to people, so it's kind of like the interrogation section of LA Noire.
Yeah, and
you
it's
talk to them in
just
passing,
talking to
or-
people.
Yeah, no, it's just
and
like
you
You're like, hey man, what's up?
it looks like just conversation passing, and you're like,
Oh.
You make a mental link with them, or
Yeah.
what is it called? A virtual link.
It's like a private link.
murder on the Digital Express.
And
Yeah, I was about to say, it kind of sounds like.
and then you might talk to this one that will reference something, and then it unlocks conversation options for other discussions you might be able to have. And there are a couple cool puzzles, like there's a duo of robots that you're talking to, and you need to change the mood of one because it affects what the other one will say. Because it's like emotional support robot. And so you have to get through that whole process, and there's a couple twists and turns as you're trying to put it all together, and it's pretty cool. Like I didn't see the ending coming. I didn't feel like it was just driven to this one inevitable conclusion. I felt like it did a lot with cool surprises. But if you don't like talkie games, you would hate it. Like Ryan would hate this.
This looks like my kind of jam,
It's
honestly.
purely you just have conversation. It has a really fancy skin over it. I think it looks very nice, but all you do is talk to people.
It looks like it came out on Windows and iOS last year. It's coming out on the Switch today, and it's on Steam for $5.99.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's
I'd play that for $6.
It's not long. It's like 2.5, 3 hour game. Maybe.
The all reviews section on Steam say it's overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah. There is also a reference in it to Thomas Was Alone. Those are because those are the first self-aware AI. They're basically the gods of these texts.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of cool. Like you can go into you talk to a priest at one point and he will tell you, he will go through Thomas Was Alone. Just like he'll start with all the dialogue from that game of it's like Thomas was alone. And then he found out he was very good at falling. And then he thought, what if I fell but the opposite way? And then he learned to jump. And it goes through that whole very specific story, basically all Thomas Was Alone. And they worshipped the different personalities that developed. It's a lot of fun, but certainly limited to taste. So if you don't like reading a bunch of stuff exclusively as a game, then you might not like it. Like, you did not have fun with it.
It's not that I didn't have fun. I got really tired of. First off, it's not long, but I didn't finish it. I only played like an hour and a half. But there's a mechanic in it where you'll talk to one guy for like 2 minutes to 3 minutes, and then he'll be like, "I need you to find something," and then it's like you go talk to another guy, and then he's like, "I need you to convince this guy to do something." So you're like bouncing back and forth between the robots a little bit, and that got a little frustrating, especially when the dialogue's like.
Yeah, like waiting for the dialogue was sometimes the boringest part.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. That was always the boringest part. When I'm just like, I can see you like dot. It's like when you're waiting for someone to text you back and you can see the dot, and you're like, fucking spit it out already.
You guys lost me on this one.
In those kinds of games, you have to be able to hit X to have like the dialogue fully pop. That way you can like read it as fast as you can.
I mean, you can turn the speeds up, but even when it was turned up, it wasn't like I read fast.
Yeah, I cranked that speed up and no good.
Yeah. But still, interesting game to check out if it's up your alley.
Even though it's not my kind of game, I thought the story was interesting even from the get-go.
Yeah.
So.
Who hasn't
How about
said
you
what they're
guys? What
playing?
have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot. First off, I'm still on the Monster Hunter train, but I won't talk about that too much because the game's really fucking good.
I'm waiting for PC. I'll be on that train eventually.
I'm going for the platinum, I think. Me and my friend have been nonstop playing it. I'd never platinumed the game, but and this one is a lot of work.
Adam, before you commit to this, I need to caution you. Have a look at those trophies, find out what they're going to take, because I'm telling you now.
Listen, I'm 120 hours into that game already.
Damn.
Shit.
Yeah, I think platinuming and everything with getting all the trophies in Horizon Zero Dawn probably took between 65 and 0.
65 and
65 and 70 hours. I'm trying to do multiple things at once here.
65 and 0.
So I'm looking here at how long to beat, and it says Monster Hunter World completionist is 140 hours.
Well, I'm not 20 hours away. I'm much more than that.
So what else are you playing? We're like waiting for you. We're like drinking. This is like the worst time to.
Well, you were sorry. So the big thing I've been playing is Into the Breach. If you don't know, it's the game by the Subset Games who made FTL. It's not a sequel to FTL, at least I don't think it is, but it's a completely different kind of game. It's a little, like, I think they call it a miniature strategy game, where it's a roguelike strategy. Basically, these aliens called the Vec have invaded, I think it's Earth, but it probably is just an analog to Earth.
The Vec.
Your planet.
The Vec.
It's very Destiny-ish, huh?
It's not the Vex, dude. It's the Vec.
Very close.
No X.
Just bend that K when it becomes an X.
These are giant kaiju-style monsters.
Okay.
Oh.
And it is like the
sounds
FTL
cool.
style
I
graphics.
was like, tell me more.
Yeah.
like
Well, just like the detective robot, then he lost me. Here you go.
It's 8-bit style graphics. You play as the human race in giant mechs that are fighting these kaiju.
Like Pacific Rim.
Kind of like Pacific Rim, but the twist is very Edge of Tomorrow because when you lose, it's a roguelike.
Good
So when
movie
you
too.
lose your run, you teleport in time to a different part of time. You create breaches, and then you try again to
What is this
fight
on?
off the monsters. What's that?
What is this on? What platform?
PC.
PC, yeah.
So the interesting thing about this game that separates it from most other strategy games of its that are similar to it is you are told what the enemies are going to do every turn. So, for example, you can't let the enemies destroy buildings because it'll lower your power grid, and when your power grid gets to 0, you lose. So it'll tell you, like, this enemy is going to attack this building, this enemy is going to attack you on this square, or whatever. And basically, instead of a strategy game, every turn becomes like a miniature puzzle, which is really fun, like skinned like a strategy game. And unlike a lot of strategy games, like take XCOM, for example, like that was you going after enemies and trying to maximize your damage output and kill as many things as possible. In this game, it's almost more about just balancing where they're attacking. Like, you don't necessarily have to kill them, but if you can just mitigate where their damage is going, then you're good. Because the goal for every single mission is to survive 5 turns. You don't have to kill a single person if you can survive for 5 turns.
Interesting.
And then there are bonus objectives that.
That makes the whole thing sound really hopeless.
Well, I mean,
Like-
you're
like,
fighting giant.
You don't
Survive.
look. You don't need to win. Just
You're just trying to
and
fend
last
off the
5
you're trying to fend
turns.
off the kaiju or the Vec. But so the game gives you one starting squad, and as you progress and get achievements, you'll get coins to unlock more squads, and the squads are just different mechs with different abilities. It's really fun, and as you complete.
Are you installing it right now?
Yeah, I just bought it and I'm installing it. You sold me.
Yeah, they're selling on it. Wait, so when you come across a different Vec, do they have different abilities?
Yeah, so there's 4 different islands. There's four different islands and a final level. So I'll be upfront. The game is pretty hard on normal and pretty easy on easy. So you might want to find a middle ground. I started playing on normal, did okay. Played on easy, I beat the game, but it's still really fun.
So you get some practice in on easy and then move up to normal?
Yeah, definitely. It's for me, it was nice to play on easy so I could unlock a few more squads, because the base squad is fine, but once you unlock different squads, you realize how much deeper the puzzle of the game can get, and it's really rewarding.
Like how many options and nuanced approaches you can take.
Right. I unlocked the second team, for example, and one of the units just didn't have an attack, and I was really like put off by that. I was like, well, what do I do with this? All he could do was pull units to him or pull himself to buildings. And I found and then the other guy, instead of doing a direct punch attack where he just knocks the guy back, he did like a chain lightning attack. So then I started like using my little robot to pull guys into place so I could chain lightning, and it adds to the fun puzzleness of it. And you can do things like pull enemies in front of their friends' attacks, so you can make them hurt each other. You'll see where the enemies are even going to spawn, so you can like put a rock on top of there so the enemies can't spawn. And the bonus objectives like end up adding like another element to keep you interested rather than just surviving. And like I feel like every time I execute a good round, like I look at a puzzle, I'm like, how the hell am I gonna stop this guy all the way across the map from destroying this building, stop this guy from getting hurt because he's webbed up, and then like you figure it out. And it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying. Like I've done audible like yeah, like kind of like just makes me so happy. But there is, you can undo turns, like moves you can undo pretty much as you want until you've committed an action. But you can only reset your turns one time per battle. So like if you've made a misclick and you really fucked up, you can undo it. But if you do that and then you have to do it again, you've fucked yourself. And as you beat islands, you will unlock the ability to spend the points that you've gained throughout beating that island to unlock stuff in the shop. So you get like new weapons and new abilities and things like that. That game is really great, and I super recommend it. And
How much is it?
it's $15.
Yeah, it's $15. And so it's out on PC currently. It says after release that they're working to bring it to Mac and Linux as well.
I would love to see it on the Switch, like every game. But
Like everything.
here.
that game is like a perfect contender for Switch. It's very bite-sized.
Great pick up as you go game.
Yeah. I mean,
on
the
Switch.
runs in that game, like if you lose partway through, it's probably like 30 minutes, and if you win, it's probably like an hour total. So it's really quick. Like it's very bite-sized, but super fun.
Cool. How about you, Fredo?
I got back into Siege. So
they just we're talking about new operators, right?
Yeah, Ubisoft sent myself, Trevor, and Jeremy up to the Invitational, which is kind of like their championship type of thing.
Did you win? Did you win?
No, a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're playing. Good luck." I was like, "No, I'm not playing." It's cool that you think that. Yeah, so we got sent up there. The finals were crazy. It was essentially 2 teams, e.g. Pentas. Those are Germany, US. US was up by 2, and then they only needed 1 more map. Then Penta won 2 maps. Then it went to overtime, and then EG had to win 3 rounds straight. They won 3 rounds straight. So I went to like the overtime rounds, and then it was US had 2 players versus Penta's 1, and then like the guy Penta killed the 2 guys, and then I was like, Jesus Christ! It was
Wow,
like
so it came
the
down
whole
to, like,
time it
the
was like,
last thing.
yeah, it was just down to the wire and everything. It was like, oh, this is the end of it. Nope, okay, we're resetting. Like it's back in it.
So Germany won?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Good job, Germany.
Well, yeah. Yeah, they did good. So yeah, we went down there to that event. That's the word I was looking for. And we were showcasing Operation Chimera, their Outbreak DLC. So they have like a new like alien zombie type of DLC that's a seasonal thing. I enjoyed it. Like I'm not one to play zombie type games. 'Cause I don't like the repetitive running around the same map, running around the same area, kiting like hordes and AI and stuff like that. But this was like there's a start and an end to each like map, and there's 3 maps, and then you have very selective ops. So it's like playing Rainbow Six, but playing in more of a casual atmosphere as opposed to the sweaty like PvP.
They were saying as well that with Rainbow Six Siege, they want to support that game for 10 years. 10 years seems to be the magical number now. They're like, Destiny, 10-year franchise.
10.
Anything comes out and they're like, 10-year
10.
franchise. You know, with Destiny,
Why-
clearly they meant it's a 10-year franchise, not a 10-year game.
Yeah.
But with Rainbow Six Siege, Ubisoft was saying that they want to support the game.
Yeah, they want
with
100
content for like
ops.
10
Yeah,
years.
I think they said did I read a rumor that there's currently no sequel in development for that. They're just focused on supporting.
How long has that game been out?
Like
Two
couple
years?
years
Years?
Why can't they
First launched
shoot
in
for like 5
2015.
years?
2015?
2015 is when it first launched.
Yeah.
Man, all right. I mean, that's crazy. 10 years seems like way too long.
Another quarter way there.
You know, which also explains why they would do things like introduce microtransactions, because if you're going to have something for 10 years, you got to fund it somehow. I don't know that they're going to get that many additional sales throughout lifetime. Some games certainly do. I mean, God knows GTA 5 is still selling like crazy and still making a ton of money via GTA Online and their shark cards and everything. But yeah, the whole like everything's 10 year now. Everything's 10 year.
Ben just sent me an article here, I guess. So right now there's 36 operators. There's 8 more coming in the year 3 schedule.
Yep.
And they plan to release 100 operators throughout the game's life cycle.
Yeah.
Which I'm very excited about because when I was a console player, it always sucked like playing Call of Duty, getting good at it, and then there being a new one. And especially now where like you invest in like a lot of games and then there's a new one that comes out the next like Madden or FIFA or COD. It's like you spend the money and whatnot. I was always jealous of like Counter-Strike and League of Legends where it's like you put the time, the effort, and you know that game's still always gonna be around. And honestly, it's as long as you shift the meta around, it's always a fresh game. And as long, you know, they're introducing new characters. There's going to be a pick and ban system, at least for the Pro League now. And hopefully, it comes out in like public ranked. But I feel like I'm very much okay with having a difficult tactical shooter in which I invest my time in that has a constant shifting meta, new characters that come out that I can invest in, and then having kind of like a MOBA feel where it's like, okay, these guys like to play with this op. Let me counter it with this op, like et cetera. So. I did that. I got back into ranked. Couple ranks away. I'm like Plat 2, couple ranks away from Diamond. But Diamond's a full-time job. I was there once. It's a full-time job. I tried out Fortnite, finally.
Thoughts?
I see...
Fortnite or Fortnite Battle
Royale.
Royale?
Come on. Fortnite Battle Royale.
I was making sure.
It'd be weird if I just...
Yeah,
Yeah, I just want to do the PvE Fortnite that
Hey,
no
the
one
PvE
plays.
Fortnite is actually, it's pretty fun. I like it. It's just, it's the in-between, like, actual missions. There are 8,000 menus of, like, here's your team, and there's, like, your support, and then there's survivors, and then you can attach them to different things, and then you can upgrade your perks in this way. There are 5,000 menus, and figuring out which one you need to be in or where you need to, like, earn points or get points or collect some points or whatever is, it's not well broken out or well explained. I think it's the victim of a lot of
Trying to do too much?
potentially, or like failure to streamline. And potentially the people developing it were so familiar with all the things that need to be done that no one looked at it and was like, and thought, perhaps new people will have trouble with this.
That's the biggest problem I had with the game. It's just overwhelming menus and menus.
And and so then you don't allocate things, and then you're not, you're not playing as strongly as you could be, and then it's just sort of, it's not even, I mean, it can be intimidating, but mostly it's just annoying.
Yeah.
If you can power through that, a lot of the PvE is fun because it's like a little bit of tower defense-y, horde-y type, build your base, fight off monsters, it's fun.
Yeah.
Like the base gameplay there is fun. I just don't want to go through everything required to get to it.
Yeah, I never touched it, but it was always tempting to see the different tiers to buy into that game when it was just like, oh, spend X amount and you can give a code to a friend. I was like, that's tempting. Like, I kind of like that.
Yeah, we did that. Bernie ended up getting, I think it was like a founder's pack or something,
Yeah,
where
it was like
you get 2 extra
codes,
codes because we got those, just gave them to the boys so we could theoretically have a 4-person team, and then
Why wouldn't
no
they
one
do
wanted to play
3
it.
extra codes?
Yeah, because it's a 4 co-op.
I don't know. Because it is
gotta
for
get that
me.
one
I ended up just
Exclude your one friend.
I ended
That's
up
a good
just
point.
buying my own copy. So
Yeah. No, so no, I jumped into that because it's such a big game, and it's just like, especially on Twitch, like it's got that hold on the #1 spot, and like League's always second now. It's crazy because you always see League and Dota switch off.
Yeah.
Occasionally CS if there's like a big event or whatnot, but it's just first every single time. It's all over my timeline. It's all over like my Instagram like feed, or just like Fortnite clips everywhere. So I touched it for like a second. I played literally like one game when I like first shifted into BR, and I was like, they had like the bullet RNG where there's, it wasn't exactly like as where your dot was, and I was like, nope, I'm not about that. Like that just sounds terrible, because it's frustrating if you have that accuracy, like your dot is like literally on their head and you're just spamming shots and it's just like hitting around them because there's a little bit of, so I was like, that sucks. And then they adjusted it, so it was the shots were tighter, less RNG based, and I just never got back to it. Played it yesterday. It was interesting. Like I was telling you guys earlier, it's very different. Like I play a lot of competitive FPS games, and the instinct is always like see and shoot, like immediately. Like you see that person, shoot that person. And here it's just like, no, build first. It's like you see a guy in front of you, it's like build 2 ramps and then a wall around you, and then like kind of use it as like a little bit of a head glitch. And it's like having the urge to like fight back, just shooting the guy right away.
the people who have a lot of experience in that game and are just running and building is actually very impressive.
Yeah.
But it is a total different aspect of the game that you have to manage, and it like goes, and that's really what its twist from Battlegrounds is like
really
that
hard.
aspect.
Yeah,
So which is better?
They're 2 different games, to be honest. If you're, it's kind of like PubG is like Counter-Strike or Siege, and then Fortnite's more of the Call of Duty style, where it's faster paced, run and gun, jump and shoot style, like very twitchy. So it just depends on what kind of style you're going for. I do like the fact that I can jump in, and it's much shorter matches, and I find you get into gunfights a lot quicker. It's just interesting. Yesterday I was just like, I started playing and I was like, okay, like what's the best way to drop in? What's the best way to build? Like, all right, cool, I gotta keep buying my stuff. Like, awesome, what are the good guns?
Is it less stressful than PUBG?
I would say so, yeah. Because PUBG, there's just so many people. The pacing is slower and it's a lot more methodical. Here, there's less like foliage and everything, so it's like,
Although you can be an actual bush.
you can't be an actual bush, this is true. You can play that tactical trolley route. I was the bush, and then I went to over the shoulder with my AR, and like the bush was in my way, and I was like, fuck this bush, it sucks. It was in my way. And everyone's like, yeah, it's more of a troll thing, and I was like,
Can you third person in the bush?
like,
Can you attack it from third person in the bush? Or is it all first person?
no, it's all third.
Oh, third, okay.
Yeah, and
But
then
if you're
like,
gonna scope.
if you there's
scope,
there's very
gotcha.
few guns like a sniper rifle or there's like an AR with this that you can actually scope in, but it's all third person.
Gotcha.
So if you have like a rifle or pistol, SMG, stuff like that, the like ADS is just a closer over the shoulder shot.
Got it.
So like I was the bush and I had my rifle. I was like, there he is, and I went to ADS and it just zoomed in closer to the bush, and I was like, I can't see anything. But I won a couple games yesterday, so it was fun.
Congratulations.
creative.
It's stressful. It is.
Ben was just letting me know here that I guess H1Z1 launched
did.
like a Mad Max style battle royale where it's all vehicle based. It's 30 teams of 4 players.
They already had King of the Kill.
Right.
So this is like a vehicular based one.
Right. It's you just drive around. It's like Mario Kart with guns, or Mario Kart and PUBG. isn't
Mario,
it?
Mario Kart with guns.
I, as a Twisted Metal fan, that sounds all right. I really like vehicular combat games, and that has gone to the wind.
Well, this is like one person's driving, and then there's 3 people in the car shooting. So it's a little different than Twisted Metal, where it's like the vehicle.
I want to do it all, so maybe I'll wait for a different version.
That sounds fun. Like I want to do a custom server in PUBG like that now.
It seems like it could be like real stylish too. Like you get everyone in, like get your crew in a cool outfit. Go get your orange mocha frappuccinos. than just like roll out.
Spray
shoot.
gas everywhere.
Yeah, that's
It
right.
sounds like something that you'll.
Surprise gasoline fight accident.
Did you ever do the like PUBG vehicle like death runs? Mm-mm. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, those seem really fun. Where it's like you have like, I don't know, maybe a handful of vehicles at a starting point, and there's like an actual predetermined route throughout the whole map, and then you just have the rest of the server. You're supposed to drive along the road, and you go throughout the whole map. It's trying to get to the finish line, and you just have everyone else in the server who's not driving just gear up and sit along the road as like choke points. And then you
that's
just
cool.
like drive through, and everyone's like, bah, 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 and you're like shooting the other guys driving, and there's people on the road trying to shoot you, and it's destruction. It's chaos.
Yeah, fair enough. I do like, though, that we're starting to get a bunch of these twists on the Battle Royale format. So, Fortnite's got the building aspect. This one's going to be vehicular-based. And
There's a 400-player BR.
oh, God,
I'm not too excited about that.
What is it?
400 players?
I forgot what it was titled.
Is it the Darwin Project?
No, that one's different.
That one's coming out
That-
soon.
What's Darwin Project?
It's that one.
was announced
that
last
they
year
released on
at E3.
the weird guy on stage, like shoutcasting.
He was the
thing.
shoutcasting.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah.
So that was off-putting for me, but then actually like looking at the game being played, it's very interesting. It's like BR mixed with Overwatch in the sense of like you
there's
have abilities.
Character skills, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mavericks Proving Grounds is the 400-player battle royale.
I bet that's gonna run great. Everyone's connection
See,
is gonna
that's
be perfect.
that's why I just don't have any faith in it whatsoever, because we can't even get 100 players to run smoothly.
Well, I mean, you can, like,
Well, Fortnite does a
Fortnite
pretty
runs
good job.
fine.
Yeah, Fortnite does a good
It's
job.
just, optimization, netcode.
It's getting better.
It is
It's getting-
improving.
I mean,
It can be done. It's
from
been
the-
proven that it
yeah.
can be done.
I've been playing the game almost a year. It's way better than it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, if coming from the days of like DayZ and Arma, like BR, yeah, it's come a long way. But still, it's frustrating because you invest so much time into a PUBG match, like 40, 50 minutes, etc.
No way.
If you get to endgame,
No.
it gets up there.
I think the longest a PUBG match can run is like between 35 and 40 minutes, maybe, based on the circle speed alone. You can never exceed that time.
okay.
Like
I'd be stretching it by like 10 minutes.
you are bound by the timer of the circle, because eventually, remember, it
Yeah,
turns into
yeah.
that point. It's like there is, even though there's no explicit timer.
Mid game just feels like forever.
Mid game sucks right now because they fucked up they nerfed the parachute drop, so people can't disperse as far. So now you get a ton of kills. You get like 50 kills before the first circle, and then you're down to 50 people for the mid game. So it's like you lose so many people that you get no combat mid
Just
game until you
sit
get to
there.
end game.
Yeah, you sit there for a
Shitty.
good like 2-3 circles, like just gonna wait for the zone to close down,
Yep.
and then I'll do something.
I would like to see a match of PUBG that no one kills each other until the last circle. And see how crazy-
Everyone just agrees to get in and do this until the very end.
Sometimes I'll do custom servers where the circle time is reduced and the circle speed is double. So that kind of turns into that, where people
So
don't have
everyone is
time to
just-
fight.
everyone is
Everyone's
running.
to where the
Yeah,
circle's
that's awesome.
going. And then you see, like, I have some footage recorded, I should have brought it in, but you see, like, a ton of people at the edge of the circle all moving in, and they're not shooting at each other, they're just running, trying to make it in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
I jumped into one of those. I actually have. That's the only Twitter handle that I have notifications on. So
I have it on too.
yeah, I have notifications on. It's like, oh, RT server's out. I'm like,
Yeah, I have Twitter send me a text message anytime RT servers tweets, that way I can get it and
Yeah,
I can
and
jump
for
on.
those interested in potentially joining in these, because we do have custom servers for the community, what is that Twitter handle
can
that they
fol-
can follow and turn on notifications
They can
for?
follow RT_servers.
That's it.
And anytime we're setting up a server, not necessarily, right now it's mainly PUBG, but in the future, other games as
It'll
well,
be
I'm sure.
for anything that comes up, really.
fishing
You
in a
know.
barrel.
Let's make a Terraria server.
Oh. But I don't know. I like what they're doing with like all the games with the slightly different styles, because it's really important to have your unique
Variety.
style.
I can't wait to E3 or everyone's just like.
You ruined
Ghost-
my segue.
Ghost Recon Battleground.
Because this episode is brought to you by MeUndies, where you can have your own style with underwear.
You can take your
Alfredo.
underwear, like all the pairs of MeUndies to E3.
I'm taking my MeUndies to E3.
That's right. We actually, Gus and I were talking about this earlier. We almost matched MeUndies today. We're
Almost.
both going to be Green Army men. Instead, there's only one Green Army man.
I opted against it.
But you want to look good in your underwear. You want to be comfortable. But that perfect balance can be hard to find. Don't sacrifice style or comfort. You deserve both. Check out MeUndies.com and find the best pair of underwear in the world. MeUndies, definitely, I love them. They've taken over like my entire underwear drawer, and I'm now faced with the question every day of, well, do I want to do tie-dye? Am I thinking like peace signs? Do I want pandas?
I did tie-dye
Like,
today.
what's
That's funny you say
what's
that.
my vibe?
Yeah.
And so they're a lot of fun. They're really soft. The patterns are great. And now, like, if I like run out and I'm doing boring underwear, I get all sad about it. For the fellas, MeUndies Diamond Seam Pouch cradles ya jewels, like this, and it gives your stuff the support it needs without feeling too tight. 100% satisfaction guarantee. Guarantee, Gus.
It's great. I love it.
It's a no-brainer to try. 20% off free shipping and 100% satisfaction guarantee. What are you waiting for? To get your 20% off free shipping and 100% satisfaction, get the best undies and softest underwear you're ever gonna own. Go to MeUndies.com/glitch. That's MeUndies.com/glitch. Don't wait. MeUndies.com/glitch.
Don't wait.
Don't wait.
Oh, this is like the new Sega.
Sega. Undies. No, I really do love them. So, hey, we should talk about what's happening in the gaming industry.
Yes.
That's the news bit. No, wait, hold on. We're going to talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance, and then we'll talk about the news bit.
All right.
I switched it up there.
What the hell was that?
That's the game working as
Very,
intended.
very nice game.
Very realistic. Okay, let's start off with this. What do you know? What have you heard? What do you know about this game, Kingdom Come Deliverance?
All I know is the script was massive.
Funded game.
It was crowdfunded, yes.
Yeah.
Kickstarter in 2014.
Yeah, and now it's out. On
It
PC.
is. It's
Say medieval.
yeah,
RPG.
that too.
It's often described as like if you were to take a game like Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and then take out all the fantasy bits. It's specifically designed to be like a historical. I mean, it's.
I didn't look
fantasy-
historical.
No, that's realistic. That happened.
That was a dash
That
kick.
happened.
I want to point out, I am right about the script being huge.
It is a huge script. That's all the writing that was done in the game. There is a lot of it. But it sets out with
Three
the
sexist
idea
thing.
of being, historically accurate. It takes place in Bohemia, which is like, and now the Czech region, in the 14th, 15th century, and you're just a normal dude. You're not, you're not a king. You're not a knight. You're just
There it is.
you're
There's
a
the script.
dude whose dad's a blacksmith, and you get caught up in this war between kings and popes and stuff.
Kings and popes.
Kings and popes and stuff. Because it's like there was a king and he was
pope.
shitty, and then there was like this other dude, and people were like, "Oh, your half brother, whatever, is shitty," and so he's like, "Oh, whatever, I'll kidnap him and then make him abdicate, and it becomes war." And then there are all these popes.
Too many popes.
Too many popes.
There's more than one.
It's like,
many
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
And but the idea is like it's this thing that actually happened in the region, and you're playing this character, you get caught up in it. But it's like, in a lot of games you're used to seeing 4 soldiers, and you're like, that's fine, I can take them on. I'll just stab them through their armor. And that's not gonna fly in this. You can dent the armor, but you're probably not gonna slice right through it with your sword. Like the very first thing when I was playing, I lost a fist fight against a drunk dude.
That guy's a dickhead. His name's
That dude's a
Kudesh.
dickhead, yeah.
He owed my dad money,
And then he
wouldn't
was like-
pay up, and then fucking punched me.
Yeah.
I hate him.
Damn.
I'm
You let him
gonna,
disrespect you
Life's
like that?
tough.
You going back?
I tried to be nice to him.
yeah.
There's your problem.
There's some interesting things around this game in addition to the game itself, which we'll get into. But so the game is
Wait, how do you damage them though? I'm still so
You gotta
intrigued.
get good shit, good weapons.
or
okay.
like maybe go for like an exposed spot, like the face.
Okay, just making sure.
Or you got to be better at it than they are. I'm not great at it. That's the thing. Is like
Oh,
you
yeah.
can lose fights. They have created different ways that you can go about things, which is my jam. So stealth archer coming right up, but you can lose. You're not the big old
difficult.
hero.
Yeah.
You're just this.
Not like Assassin's Creed. You just sit in the middle and you just take your turn hitting everybody.
Right.
Okay.
So all of that's pretty cool. For me, it was I love weird medieval castle-y shit. I follow a bunch of that stuff on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, look at this old castle. I'm like, that'd be the day. I can imagine not bathing, brushing teeth, dying, getting all kinds of like crazy diseases. But oh man, the castles.
Live in a cold castle.
Yeah.
Eating terrible food.
Right. So, it was cool, like, just even the experience initially dropping into the game of, like, there's just a stew pot on.
Terrible food.
Terrible,
Lentil soup.
at all times. And, like, that was a thing. I can look at it and be like, that was a thing.
Yeah,
I know they would just, like, leave stew and then add whatever they could.
Perpetual
whenever they could.
stew.
Yeah.
Can
And I'm like, that's awesome.
can I
Look at
si-
me. I'm going to eat perpetual stew.
Can I sidebar for a second?
You may.
Joel does perpetual stew.
What?
But he does it in his fridge, which completely defeats the purpose.
That doesn't
He just
seem
like buys
perpetual.
like a giant bowl of like pho, and then he'll like have some sushi and just throw the remainder in there. I swear to fucking
So
God,
he
dude.
has just, like, he has a junk
He is a vat of bullshit that he eats. It's crazy, dude. That's what I said. I was like, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, "I just throw my leftovers in there and then eat some and like, it just keeps it going." I was like, "What? Why? Like, why? I don't know." But he does it.
I was picturing, like, you get beans and chuck them in there, and you're like, oh, look, some leftover carrots, and chuck them in there.
He's very
And
much
I was
like, "Here's my
picturing-
sushi rolls."
Sushi.
Oh.
You're not just
Okay.
constantly wake up with mud butt.
So
He probably
I
does.
guess what that largely means is, yes, we're probably eating shitty in 14th century or 15th century Bohemia, but you can eat shitty today too. So really, are we all that different?
Some of us haven't evolved this far.
Yeah, we're all still people.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff to like about the game if you're into that, which I like. I like that. I was like, oh, look at me in my little hovel. I'm gonna go off on an adventure now. But it is pretty janky. There are, like, if you take like the Bethesda level of bugs that we're used to in a game like Elder Scrolls or Fallout, and then add in all the, like European jank is almost like its own kind of game. That's a thing.
Do tell.
I love Eurojank Simulator.
Eurojank Simulator. No, but like there are a lot of like lower. I don't want to say like low budget, like they're shitty games, but they're maybe non-optimized engines or whatever. Like a lot of those like smaller scale indie European games are like, especially in an open world game, it happens. You can't account for everything. Like dudes fucking attacking you when you got the arrows. But it's still fun if you can be patient with that sort of thing. If you can't, probably not going to enjoy it. But if you got used to being patient with Bethesda, and it's been a while since you've had like a realistic or game that sort of, I guess, tends towards a more realistic style at the very least, fun to check out. But that's not the only discussion around this game. Are you aware of the discussion around the game, Adam?
No. What's
Okay.
the discussion?
So here's what's happened with this game. And this is actually a years old discussion, but because the game is coming out now, it's sort of like re-energized. The game, it was kickstarted 2014, and the studio co-founder and creative director, Daniel Vavra, has been, to some degree, very at odds with gaming media as a whole. He came out very pro-Gamergate when that was happening and really leaned into the controversy, wearing shirts to be like #based. It's like cis, able-bodied, white men,
Man, baby, virgins
neckbeard,
come.
shitlord. Like basically leaning into like a lot of the controversy there.
Oh, cool.
And-
Now you let me know I'm not going to buy this game. Perfect.
But a lot of that happened because, well, I don't know what side he would have fallen on regardless. That may have been it anyway. But it sort of all started off with this conversation where someone asked him if there would be people of color in the game.
Oh, right.
And he said
Right.
there were no people of color in Bohemia at the time, so no. And then that was countered by like a historian on Tumblr who specifically has, they run an account that's like people of color in media and in history, and was saying that there probably were, they just don't get written about in history books because a lot of history is written by a bunch of old white dudes. All the popes They were taking turns writing the history, maybe.
the white
but
popes.
that, so they're not really talked about, that, but that they were probably there, and that not having them in is not, is whitewashing. And so that created a whole conversation there, because they were like, no, this is like our area, our region, like we know our history. They weren't around, so we're not having them in. Also, this takes place in a very small area. Like it's like 9 kilometers squared, because at that time, traveling 9 kilometers, that was a significant undertaking. We're just gonna like hop on a bus or get in the car and go that distance. Like it was an effort, especially if you didn't have your own horse.
That's not a small area. It's not as big as like a lot of open world RPGs, but it's not small.
But when you look at it like as opposed to, say, an entire country,
Sure.
it's a limited area, and they're like, well, the chances of you encountering anyone would be, virtually nil anyway.
Right.
So we're just not gonna put them in. We're gonna err on the side of they weren't around.
Interesting.
And
I do want to point out an interesting counter argument I've seen about that.
Yep.
Health potions did not exist at that time either.
that's true. So when
They are not historically accurate.
I say realistic-ish.
Is there health potions?
Oh yeah, there's a couple gimmies in the game. So no magic, no dragons,
Come
but there are
on.
health potions. And you save the game with schnapps.
Oh, that really fucking turned me off. I was
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna
that's-
quit.
honestly,
I'm gonna
that's
take
the
a little.
biggest thing.
I was
You
like-
can't
I was like,
save
I'm gonna take a little break. He's like, you
without
don't have any Schmitten schnapps, and I was like, oh fuck it, I'm losing my save. Close.
Yeah, like it'll auto-save where it wants to, either before or after certain key encounters, or if you sleep. But like if you want to manually save, you have to have these like save schnapps that you can buy at stores or whatever. But you're spending some of your in-game resources and currency on being able to save. They're changing that, from what I understand.
Good,
They've said that that's going to be updated, which is good because I get that they're trying to go for the whole realism and consequences and stuff, but the trade-off for convenience is not great. So, yes, you're right. There were no save potions save potions, health potions in Bohemia
and
either.
save potions, schnapps.
Yeah, also save potions. But the other studio co-founder issued a statement recently, because they've been obviously taking a fair amount of heat over the conversation. People feeling like they were doubling down, whitewashing, all this stuff. So Martin Klima said, and this was in January, he said, after more than 4 years of intensive research, it can be stated that there is no proof that there were no dark-skinned people in Bohemia and vice versa. So you go, all right, there's really no proof either way. No one can say for
Right.
sure, you should absolutely have this in, or you definitely shouldn't because this is the way it was. It's just not a well-documented thing in that particular part of history. But then he continued, there are many things we cannot prove. Otherwise, we would have to assume, for example, that lions would have lived in the forests of Bohemia. After all, the coat of arms of the ruling house is adorned with a lion. Where else could people have had this portrait?
Stop comparing people to animals.
Well, I think it's more just that it makes it sound like some mythical thing.
It's not. It's a person. It's not mythical. I mean, like at the same time, I don't know, man.
And on the one hand, I do.
It's a video
Have some
game.
fucking representation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because it's now something that's in the back of my mind while playing. Just that they were, they were quite aggressive about this being, there are basically like only these people in the game. It is multicultural to some degree in that there are like Germans and Hungarians.
I hate
and
the Germans.
The Germans. They keep winning Siege. But that, I'm looking around at all this wonderful stuff, and I'm like, well, now I don't know how accurate any of this shit is, except for the Perpetual stew, because I'm like, that one I know about.
I saw that one on Reddit.
Yeah. And it's like, I get it, it's historical. I'm not expecting to, play Brienne of Tarth and, be my sword-swinging lady, because I get that probably would not have flown, historically speaking.
I tried to like it, man. It's just not.
But do you dislike the gameplay or the lack of
I really hated the combat. I know it's not for everyone, but it just felt so clunky. And the game, the first thing I did in the game, other than have a conversation, was I was like, hey mom, I'm hungry. She's like, there's some food on the table. I was like, great. And I walk over to the table, there's 12 apples. I was like, cool, I'm gonna pick up all these apples, spam E, but no. Every time you pick up a food, it's like,
Oh yeah, it
It's
doesn't,
so
it doesn't just
slow.
like pop in your inventory. You do manually pick
And I had
everything
to
up.
pick
I
up
was like, oh look,
12
cheese.
apples.
Look,
And then,
cheese.
and then on top of that,
And then I dipped into the stew.
on top of that, there's a survival meter, and some people might really like that, like having to eat and sleep and rest and all that. But like I was sitting there and I was like, I have 14 apples and 6 cheese, and I just start eating it all and watch my food meter like barely move up. And as it started getting to the top, my energy meter starting to get low, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to balance all of this shit.
Because you took a lot of energy to eat all that stuff.
I guess so. And then
This doesn't sound fun.
And then I got in a fight, and it was like when you fight in a dream and your punches aren't real. Like, yeah,
Just kind of floating.
yeah. I felt like I was doing it, but he was just kicking my ass. And
You know
then,
what I found out too is you get a little ways back and you do it and he'll kick instead.
yeah, that's.
Yeah, kick that son of a
But
bitch.
I also really, really like medieval fantasy.
You
and-
like the dragon part of it.
Yeah, so like, I mean, medieval fantasy is like, it's just that. It's like, in like you see in the game, like the medieval era was shitty. It was all full of like everyone living in filth and crappy food and people being dickheads. But medieval fantasy, it's like the way you dream of it being, you know, like with dragons and magic and cool guys, and no one's living in literal squalor. Like, I just like that more. And I understand it's totally great that this exists for people that like a more realistic and grounded RPG, but it's just not for me.
Yeah, I guess for me what it comes down to is that it approaches everything and it says we want to be realistic, we want to do all this, but then are very aggressive about certain aspects of the game design in spite of then having to admit, yeah, we actually don't know what this would have been like either way.
Yeah, I can't support that.
You know, but then saying, we don't know, we can't prove it either way, but we know it. And it's just, I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way a little bit because the
Seems like
entire premise is let's be as realistic as possible.
Seems like the only real justification for that is racism, right? Or prejudice.
I don't know that it started out that
Yeah,
way so much as the dude feeling like he didn't want anyone else
he
telling
didn't
him
want
what to do with his game.
control over it. Yeah.
And I mean, I think, you know, if it was possible to prove with historical accuracy that was the case, that's fine. You know, if that's the angle
Yeah,
that they're going with, you know,
Be
I
like,
think
like this is like well documented.
Right.
There was no appearance of say like the Moors until this point, and so on and so forth. Then like I'd be like, okay, great, but it's not documented at all either way, and they seem so freaking certain that it was a specific way.
yeah. So I mean, it's I will not be buying the game and supporting it. I'll leave it at that.
Reading up on the developer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can't. There's not a good enough reason to
It's-
not put people of color in it.
It's messy for sure, and you know, I can't say that the game is bad per se, because like the game, it's got its own issues, like bugs and that sort of thing. But
people
other
love
people
it.
might like the gameplay. It's selling fine.
People are vehemently in love with that game, like to the point where if you say something bad about it, they don't like you anymore. So I mean,
well,
that's
then,
fine.
You know, we may
on.
be disliked for this then, but that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it comes down to it's cool that it exists for the people that really like want to dive into that sort of like window into history. But I feel like it's selling itself as too assured of what history was.
Yeah.
In some cases. So we should probably talk about all the news, get caught up a little bit since we didn't talk about news in last week's episode. But before we do that, I also want to thank Audible for sponsoring this episode of Glitch Please. Audiobooks, they're a lot of fun. They're great if you want to read books, but you don't have time, you're driving around a lot, or let's say you want to go for a run. Audiobooks are actually really awesome. That's one of my favorite ways to do running because they kind of take me out of my brain and into the book itself. We've teamed up with Audible and they're offering a free audio book with a 30-day free trial. If you want to listen to it, Audible has it. Just go to audible.com/glitch or text glitch to 500-500. Download a free title and start listening. Audible's selection of audiobooks, original shows, news, comedy, and more is unmatched anywhere. You will find what you're looking for. For example, Ready Player One is going to be out in the theaters soon. If you want to check out the book by Ernest Cline, it's a lot of fun to read, and it's narrated by Will Wheaton. That's available on Audible.
That's how I consumed the book.
Yeah, well, it's also kind of funny because Will Wheaton is in the book.
Yes.
So at one point he's narrating like his own cameos. He's like the president. It's like the president of the internet.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of fun. You can go and you can catch like all the references, and then you know what to keep an eye out for in the movie. So that'll be a lot of fun. Audible members get a credit every month, good for any audiobook, regardless of price, and unused credits roll over to the next month. Don't like your audiobook? You can exchange it, no questions asked. Get a free audiobook with a 30-day free trial at audible.com/glitch or text glitch to 500-500. That's AUDIBLE.com/glitch or text glitch to 500-500. I also really like sometimes I'll switch between, like I'll be reading something and then I'll switch over to the audiobook version and go back and forth just based on if, like my hands and eyes are free or if only my ears are free. And it's a nice way to do it. Also, I like it feels sometimes like I'm being read bedtime stories, and I really like that.
I never thought of it that way.
There's something very comforting about it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to current events with the news.
The made
What?
thing.
What?
Why is Sonic
Why
fighting?
is Sonic
why
fighting
is Sonic
Frieza?
fighting
And how can I own that?
Seriously, what's up?
Where was that from? Tell us.
It's from Dragon Ball Fighters.
Is it, you
Fighters
unlock
is-
Sonic?
Is
in
it like
It's a mod.
It's a PC.
Oh, it's a mod.
It's a PC mod,
Yeah.
right?
Man.
There's a lot of like fun mods for those games.
I think I saw
all
one
kinds
with-
of characters that don't belong together.
I think I saw one with Waluigi.
I rewatched the first season of Dragon Ball Z, and I now want to play Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Sorry to disrail news.
No, you're not.
derail
You're not
news.
derailing at all. I think
You
sometimes
can't toss something like that on the screen and
I
not
know.
expect it
Look,
to get derailed.
the fun glitchy bits are sometimes the funnest things
Random
to see.
banter, yeah.
Yeah. So, a couple things happening in the news. We're getting caught up since we didn't really talk news last week since it was pre-recorded and we're not psychics, damn it. So today we're going to talk about the industry. The video game industry is starting to respond to the calls to legislate loot boxes. Surprise, surprise. They don't think they should be legislated. That's the short
Great.
version. Also, there is this new game that's coming out. It's called Super Seducer, and the case
Kinky.
of the wild DMCA. Also, reportedly, no new Switch hardware iteration, not like a Switch 2.0 or like a Switch Mini or a Switch Plus. So if you've been waiting, saying, hey, I'll just wait for the next version of the Switch to come out, maybe don't wait. But we'll get to that. Let's start off with the talk about loot boxes. Okay, so this has been a hot topic.
Absolutely. That's putting it mildly.
Yes, there have been different countries looking into whether loot boxes constitute gambling. If there was the call from Hawaii to legislate and regulate loot boxes, saying they shouldn't be, games containing loot boxes shouldn't be sold to people under 21, and the games should fully disclose if they're going to have that kind of mechanic in them. And there was a call from. It was Congress or Senate, basically to the ESRB, saying you need to sort this shit out or we'll do it. And so the ESA, which runs the ESRB, that's the Entertainment Software Association, they've responded. And they have put their solution in place, or they've announced their solution. They are going to start labeling, they are responsible for labeling, all games that have microtransactions. However, they are also going to start labeling any game that has any kind of in-game purchase at all with the same label. So that means any game with DLC.
So basically all games.
All games.
Yeah,
so
what?
essentially every game is going to have this label.
Here's a universal label.
They're just it seems like just a ploy to hide loot boxes
Yeah.
amongst everything else.
Right. Well, keep in mind that the ESA it's an industry body.
Right.
It's governed by a lot of industry leaders, and their interest is in protecting
They're
the
in the
industry.
pocket of big loot boxes.
They are the pocket.
So on the one hand, I get it. Like they're not a regulatory body in and of themselves. They did form specifically to rate games, to advise parents what to buy, what not to buy, and they were able to tell retailers, hey, don't sell M-rated games to anyone below 17. But so the idea of them putting warning labels on boxes is one step towards what's being asked for. But they basically said that they saw no point in differentiating loot boxes versus other kinds of in-game paid content because parents don't get it. because they were like, we talked to parents, and parents don't even know what loot boxes mean, so that seems pointless. Which seems to me like a bit of a sidestep.
So take an action to actually educate them.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, when everyone's a hero, no one will be. Incredibles 2, hitting theaters in June. Super excited. It comes down to when everything is going to contain this label, no one's going to pay attention to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what I think.
Just gonna ignore it.
Yeah, they want.
I have just no knowledge on this, but was there any type of pushback like this on the trading card game scene, with Pokemon and Magic?
So there actually was. And Ben, maybe you can look this up for us, because I know there was a push, and this not a recent push, but there was a push for a while to look at whether or not things like blind booster packs were okay, or if they also constituted unfair gambling. Now, the part of the difference between what you get with these physical card packs and loot boxes is that for the most part you can't sell off what you get in a loot box. The cards themselves do end up with a physical value, and you can sell them to someone else if you want. So there is a distinction. It's not quite apples to apples, but it has come up in the past.
Let's play apples to apples.
Ooh, the nice version of Cards Against Humanity. So it's, do you think loot boxes are gambling?
If it's just based on skins, I feel like that's just an extra thing that you.
But you're paying money into a system for
I think
to pull a slot machine.
I mean, yes,
don't know what you're gonna get
it's a gamble.
I can't necessarily equate it to I don't know. Kind of, because it's just a scummy way to make people get the shit that they want. I want that specific skin for that character, but I have to buy 20 loot boxes in hopes that I get it. Which is it's just scummy. I don't like it.
I think at first when this started popping up, I really didn't think it was gambling. It seemed like a totally different thing to me. But I think as time's gone on, I'm starting to think more and more that it really does equate just to gambling.
Well, and largely too, now that we're getting into situations like what Battlefront 2 brought to the fore, which is the potential to buy an advantage. If you can put in enough money and get some sort of in-game advantage out, not just looking different, but actually performance advantage, that's pay to win, which doesn't necessarily make loot boxes as a whole more or less gambling, but does make it extra shitty.
Yep.
As a move.
I'm trying to think of this gambling still. I keep going back and forth. It's you play a slot machine, right? You put money in it, you pull the crank, and maybe you win money or maybe you get nothing. At least with a loot box, regardless, you get something. It might not be the thing you want.
Yeah. So you still get something in return at the end of the day, you eventually do get that one thing you want. You can play slot machines all you want and then maybe not hit the big jackpot, right? But if you put a good chunk of money into Overwatch loot boxes, you'll get everything you want.
And if you get duplicates, then you get the in-game currency.
But you don't get the equal value of the in-game currency.
Yeah.
You get a much when you start getting duplicates, you're getting pennies on the dollar for the character skins.
I think it is, but with just better odds.
Another difference as well being that with these loot boxes, you're never going to get money back out of the machine. With casino gambling, part of the mental issue and the lure is that you might strike it big with actual money. It might, you are getting money back. They're in tokens, so that you then have to exchange for money. But you can essentially get your money back out of that system. So that's another sort of tricky thing. The ESA is definitely saying that they are not gambling at all. They say that they are a voluntary feature in certain video games to provide players with another way to obtain virtual items that can be used to enhance their in-game experiences. So, very PR line there.
Yeah.
Also, IGDA, the International Game Developers Association, is holding a roundtable at GDC called Censorship Strikes Back. And it's about regulation of loot boxes. Feeling that regulation of loot boxes could be akin to censorship of video games, which I think is a bit of a stretch. But we actually reached out to IGDA about it and got a response back from them. They're saying that they're specifically concerned about unintended potential to affect games because if you get politicians who don't really understand video games, especially in multiple countries where the laws work differently and there's some weird hazy language, they could, like, say if they decided to ban all random in-game prizes, would mean that, like, if you get like random drops in an RPG from a monster or whatever, that would be illegal now.
Oh God.
I think
What an awful
I
precedent.
feel like the bottom line with this stuff is that gamers, 99% of gamers just don't want loot boxes, right? And like people should just vote with their wallets, and then this can all go away.
Although the problem is then you get 1% of consumers
Right.
Who
or
vote
2%
real
of
heavily with their
consumers
wallets.
who are,
Yeah.
who are going above and beyond and spending all the money. That's the entire concept of the way.
right.
I mean, loot boxes, that does support an addictive habit, to be honest.
I mean, honestly, to some degree, it relies on creating that like addictive, that gambling high, right? That you get. Like that's because that's what makes you do it again. It's what makes you take the chance because you could get that thing you want. You could.
It's rough. There are some companies that are going about the right way. I know Siege had the alpha packs, but you can only buy them with in-game currency. They have the Outbreak packs that are coming out, which you actually buy yourself. But there's 50 items and there's no duplicates. So if you buy all 50 packs, you get everything. And then you have games like Fortnite where you just buy the cosmetics, and they have like a season thing where you get all these upgrades for every level throughout the season. It's like 100 levels. Every time you play, you earn XP, you get the level, you get the item, whether it be skins or stickers or emotes or whatnot, and you can buy your way up the level. Like you could just buy all the levels if you want, right? So like it runs for a season, which is like a couple months, and you play as much as you want, but say if you don't have the time, you just buy the rest of the levels, and it's all cosmetic.
Yeah, they're not performance levels.
Yeah, at its core, it needs to be just cosmetic stuff. It can't be anything that helps you enhance what you're
I'm
doing.
totally on board with games that just will sell you a cosmetic outright.
Yeah,
Like I've said
I'm
a
okay
million
with that. With
times.
like League.
Path of Exile is
or-
like, hey, do you want this cool armor set or this effect? Buy it with money. There you go. There it is.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that completely, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard because at the end of the day, it is gambling. It creates addictive gambling habits. It definitely can create that in younger kids who are very, easily influenced. So I see the dangers in it for sure.
Yeah.
Ben, did you find anything on the cards?
It's pretty much exactly what you mentioned on whether they're gambling or not.
Okay.
So
I'm so smart. Moving on to Super Seducer. Okay.
These games are very cringy.
This game, it's honestly, I'm just going to say I don't like this game. This is a game that's made by some European pickup artist named
I'm hating this more and more the more you're talking.
Laruina. It's an FMV game that is it's a seduction simulator. It's basically designed to teach you how to be a pickup artist.
Oh my God.
Here's the Steam description. Super Seducer is the world's most realistic seduction simulator. It puts you in everyday scenarios like a coffee shop, the office, a bar, and lets you do practically whatever you want to see how it plays out with beautiful women.
Ooh.
As you make it not just like normal
Just
women.
not women.
They gotta
Beautiful
be
women.
They gotta be hot. You deserve it. As you make your moves, renowned seduction guru Richard LaRuina provides you with feedback for every choice you make, delving into the psychology and the hundreds of hidden
Damn,
secrets
she
that
ain't
separate
having it.
seduction masters from everybody else. And so what it comes down to is it's basically like teaching you how to like pick up ladies. But some of the you'll go into a scenario and you'll pick choose a response, and then like this dude might stop and talk to you and be like, "Here's what you did wrong. You gave her the option to say no.
Yeah, dude, it's
What you should have
super-
done is got in her way so she couldn't leave."
It seems like, a
it's,
wow.
scummy game.
It's so fucking.
Is that a real piece of advice from the game?
Pretty.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, there's there's things like here's what you do is you're not supposed to give them the option to say no because then they
Holy
might.
Fuck.
Or yeah, like if you make sure like you walk in front or basically like you're blocking the way so she doesn't try and leave.
Holy shit.
And it's honestly it's very scummy, but it is typical like that pickup artist
dancing.
kind of thing. And so it's basically like, you know, if you go to those pickup artist seminars or whatever.
Holy, what does he do?
He's picking her up. He's a
What am I
pickup artist.
looking at right now?
No, it turns out this game is actually about physically.
Very,
just picking
very
up women.
literal game.
And so this game has come out or is coming out and sent out review codes to people and to YouTubers. And
I was hoping we were going to talk about this part.
yes, sorry, I wanted to rip on the game a little bit,
Yeah.
but he sent one to this YouTuber named I Am Patty Jack, who does a series called The Worst Game Ever. Sent him a key. He made an entry in his The Worst Game Ever series called Super Seducer is the Worst Game Ever. And other people have made videos about this game, like lampooning it, like Donkey.
I saw the
did a
Donkey
video
one,
on it.
yeah.
Pro Jared's been doing a playthrough series of it. Like it's been making the rounds, but the developer, I guess, they're saying that that title gave the game negative SEO, search engine optimization, and so he got into a fight initially in the YouTube comments, and then it moved to Twitter, and
Wait, the dev got into a fight?
with the YouTuber, yes.
Oh, okay.
Is the dev the guy in the videos?
Yes.
Oh, of course he
guy.
is.
And basically says he DMCA. So and eventually the developer issued a DMCA.
Just normal screenshots.
And what it comes down to is he issued the DMCA because he was goaded into it. He did it to prove he's not a pussy.
He's definitely not a pussy. You can tell. That guy is no pussy.
There are there's screenshots around of basically the DM conversation he was having with the YouTuber, being like, "I'm doing this to prove I'm not a pussy." So.
Well, I think it looks like the
There's
DMCA
that going for
takedown
ya.
was finally
It
reversed.
has been lifted, yeah. In fact, we got a lovely email from I Am Patty Jack this morning saying that the strike is lifted, the DMCA is off the video, and thanked us for covering it.
So
the video that we did.
Did YouTube undo it, or was the DMCA just withdrawn?
They did say the developer did say they were going to withdraw the DMCA. He only did
chose
it,
a different option.
He did it to prove he's not a pussy, and then was going to retract it, just like
Wow.
it was just like a power move.
So then
I
mean,
guess.
that just contributes to the bigger problem
Yeah.
with fake DMCA takedowns
Exactly.
on YouTube.
Exactly. So it's just
asshole.
it's a weird situation. We reached out to the YouTuber who was like, he basically said he was going to retract it right away, and then Laurie Wynn had told us he goaded me into doing the DMCA, and a member of my staff did it. This was childish, obviously. So on the one hand, good on him for admitting that it was childish and undoing it. But I'm hesitant to give too many snaps because it's not how DMCA works anyway.
Correct. It shouldn't have been done in the first place.
It's hard to give too much credit. But I also am not predisposed to giving this guy more credit than absolutely necessary.
That was a pretty cringy story.
It's a cringy game, dude.
But, and it's like, I want to be like, why does this game exist? This should never be anywhere.
In the game.
I know.
But technically,
That's like
it makes us all look bad, but technically it has the right to exist.
Sure.
Like, it's the same as that game
I have the right to
Hatred
give-
that came out. That's like horrific and makes us all look bad, but it has the right to exist. We can't make it not exist.
I'm not saying we should.
that's
You,
not.
you
I'm
can
just
vote
saying.
with your wallet.
I'm just saying it's
Yes.
and choose whether or not to
Stupid.
support.
Yeah,
things.
like you can say whatever you like, but we don't have
And
to.
I can buy whatever I like.
We don't have to stick around and
or not by.
Yeah.
support you with it.
It's unfortunate though because then you have like content creators and like Twitch streamers who could possibly like buy this just for the lulz, just to show off how cringy it is, and in that way it shows it to other people, and they're like, oh, I'll buy this game too, just so I could show like cringy it is and how terrible it is and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be like the angle most people take with it is like, look at this
Yeah,
horrific thing.
yeah.
And I hope that it doesn't lead to people buying it legitimately, being like, oh, I could really use the tips, because these are not the tips to take.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it does long term. I do think that there are more people who've heard about this game as a result of this whole DMCA issue.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about it right now.
Yeah, then like I would just not have talked about this normally.
But if we've learned anything about, from Jake Paul, any publicity is good publicity. So
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul.
And his brother.
I
They're
can't-
Kind of
both-
both.
I don't
I
know. I don't follow
The
them.
Pauls.
The Pauls. One
some-
of them.
all I-
Jake, Logan.
All I know
all
about
in
them
the
is
same.
that I don't think I like either one.
Oh no.
Finally, final news, Switch. Okay, so
Yeah.
there have been a lot of people saying they might hold out because there would be an inevitable Switch 2.0 or new Switch or new Switch XL or
Right.
like basically following the 3DS model of Nintendo life cycle because the 3DS has been through a lot of iterations very, very quickly,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like basically every year, every other year, a new
3DS,
version of it comes out.
3DS XL, 2DS. Was there also a 2DS?
There was the 2DS,
XL?
and then there was the
3DSi?
new 3DS,
Oh,
new
right.
3DS XL, and then
news.
the new 2DS, which is the clamshell one. So a lot of people were assuming that Switch would follow similarly, that there'd be like a smaller version or there'd be a bigger version. Apparently that's not likely, and definitely not this year. So they're not going to release an iteration on it. According to a report from the Wall Street Journal, the people familiar said expanded Switch features in the coming year could include network-related features and peripherals to be attached to the USB Type-C port. So anything they do is not going to be the Switch hardware; it'd be peripherals. But they said changes to the Switch itself, like a smaller version of the machine, were unlikely as Nintendo focuses on better manufacturing and shipping of the current model. At an investor briefing in February, Mr. Kimishima, the Nintendo CEO, said he wanted to make the Switch's product cycle longer than the 5 to 6 year span that's become customary in the video game console industry, with the exception of last generation, which was unusually
Crazy long. Yeah.
One person familiar with development plans said waiting longer to introduce variations in the hardware would serve that purpose. So that's what they're going to try and keep it more stable.
I have a feeling that when they eventually do put out a hardware upgrade in like 2 or 3 years, I'm definitely going to buy it because it'll include things like wireless headphone support and maybe a
Bluetooth,
bigger screen.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that people,
Wireless
they said
support.
they're not going to make a smaller one. It's like, I don't want a smaller one.
No, I want a
Yeah.
bigger one. Like, I mean, I'm fine with this, with like the current size of the screen, but it would be nicer to
you
be.
get some people who like prefer the smaller 3DS because it's more pocket friendly.
Sure.
As opposed to the 3DS XL where they're like, I want the
I think
larger screen.
We also have bigger hands.
I have,
Yeah.
like,
There
my
is
hands
that.
are the size of dinner plates, so I'll take anything bigger.
Pro controller?
I use it, but not when I'm on the go.
Yeah,
know?
fair enough.
It's still another thing you got to carry. It's
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I would absolutely buy a USB-C like thing that just like a strip that went all the way across the bottom just to keep it level, that added wireless headphone support.
Yeah.
Yep.
Please give it to me, please. As a USB dongle accessory, that's fine, please. It just is one of the features that doesn't make any sense to be missing from that hardware, in my opinion. But knowing that there's not going to be an iteration coming, are you less interested in getting one of the current iteration?
I have the current iteration.
But like, if you have to like buy it over again, would you?
Oh, if I like, if
Because
mine,
you jumped, you made the decision. You're like, I'm going to get it.
But
I would. I mean,
I wouldn't wait because you're waiting for like an unknown
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
being able to play a bunch of really good games now.
I mean, I think the Switch library sort of proves itself. It's an amazing library of games. That console is like, it's my favorite console in many years.
I think they're actually coming into a problem now where there's also a lot of stuff releasing on the eShop, and it's actually discoverability is going to become a problem.
Their eShop needs to be sorted out, big time.
And there needs to be a virtual console.
Yes.
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 Give me some SNES,
Well,
please.
mine's in December, so I'm happy that there's no like new version coming out anytime
So to some
soon.
degree, it's validating.
Yeah. So I'm just like, whew, okay. I'm not gonna be forced to buy like some different version.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel better. I worried to some, when I was buying mine, I was going to do it anyway, but I worried to some degree that I would end up with my 3DS problem where I was like, oh, well, new one's out. Guess we're
Yeah.
buying
You have to
another one.
Switch it out.
But, but then there'd be, to have to like reinvest, which is a problem right now with Switch since all my saves are stuck to that hardware.
Oh yeah. Haven't they?
They're,
Is that
they're,
update?
they are like, that's something that's in process.
works.
I would assume that would release before
Is it-
they have a new
Yeah.
hardware.
It
iteration.
is still an ongoing issue.
Is there a process for if you switch SD cards out? Because I finally bit the bullet and got an SD card for mine after Bayonetta was 12 gigs. So is there a process for like if I want to get a bigger SD card later, swapping the games to that?
You might have to re-download them.
You might have to
I don't know.
re-download.
Like, yeah, does it store saves on that too? I mean, I don't,
It
You
does
can
not
manage
store
that.
saves on that. That's
Okay.
part of the problem. If it stored saves on it, you could take it out and put it in any other
Sure,
Switch
okay.
and like take your stuff with you.
all right.
That's why it's so crazy. Is like they almost, with the size of the hard drive being so small, they expect you to get an SD card. So why not put this stuff on
Yeah.
the one that can be taken out? Especially if you have to send it in for repairs or something, you're gonna lose everything.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
it's an on-the-go console too.
there is a process. I see a Nintendo support article here about how to transfer data between micro SD cards.
Okay, so can't be done without the re-downloads.
Cool.
That's good news.
Yeah, because I think only downloads when it's not asleep.
You just put it in Windows or Mac and then just drag
Oh,
your
drag
files over.
That's helpful.
Oh, sweet.
Easy.
That's scary. I remember
Why is that scary?
Tim. No, because I remember just having all the saves like onto
Oh,
the hardware.
yeah, yeah.
'Cause I remember a tweet from Tim Geddes like a month ago or so.
That's right, he left
it
his
in
in a
an
taxi.
Uber, and he was like all my saves, all the temples, everything, all the items, like it's all locked there. Luckily,
I
he
would
got
be-
it back, but that sounds
I
terrifying.
would be most bummed to lose Breath of the Wild stuff. Everything else
Yeah.
is sort of like inconsequential, but Breath of the Wild was like over 110 hours.
And I have heard of people sending their Switch in to get repaired, and it came back and everything was gone. And that's not cool. We're now in an age where I'm annoyed if I have to manually upload a save to the cloud for PSN.
I do that because I'm afraid it's an older version regardless, so I always do it.
Whatever Microsoft's system has been working for me.
Yeah.
Like
It's fucked me a couple of times,
Really?
but for the most part, it's okay.
I've had it definitely know like, hey, your current save, there's a newer save on the cloud. Do you want to use this one or do you want to get the newer one? And it's checked with me before, and I've been like, oh, well, let's get the newer one.
Right.
Or I've been like, actually, I didn't want that new one. I'm playing on this one. And so it's for the most part been really good for me.
So Ben's sending me another article, I guess, that you can just swap SD cards and it'll notify you need to re-download the game.
Oh, so you start the re-download?
Yeah,
but
you
then
got the little cloud icon.
Too much.
Yeah.
It's too much download.
But you can just copy the files. Just swap. It's easy.
Yeah. So yeah, no new Switch hardware, guys. It's gonna be all dongles.
Give me those dongles.
USB
This is the
all
Apple,
day, air day.
the Apple school of upgrades. Dongles.
That's got to be figured out too, because with the USB-C on the bottom, they're gonna have to make like bars essentially that go across the whole thing and keep it levelish, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or like,
It's so many attachments to carry around.
I know.
Not if it
Yeah,
fits-
but I
not if
also
it-
got
not
my
if it,
nice
like-
little case.
Not if it clams
If
around.
it's just like a bar.
If
and
it
it's
clams
like
around the Switch
ports.
Yeah.
perfectly
exactly.
or whatever, yeah.
if it's just like a nice
a
little
bottom
thing,
extender.
Yeah, I'd be all about that. All right, so Nintendo, do that. We know what we're doing. We are engineers. We're not engineers. Don't listen to us.
I'm an engineer.
All right, that I think about does it for this episode of Glitch Please. Thank you again to Audible and MeUndies for sponsoring this episode. They're both really great. You should absolutely check them out. If you are listening to this podcast on a podcast distribution service, please leave us a review and let everyone know what you think. If you're watching this on a Watchy Place, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Let us know what you think. Does it change whether or not
Way up.
you're still waiting for a Switch, or if you're just going to go ahead and bite the bullet now? If you're playing Kingdom Come Deliverance, how do you feel about it? Loot boxes, I mean, Super Seducer. Look, there's a lot of stuff that you can tell us about.
Play into the breach.
And play Into the Breach.
That's a good game.
If you're a Rooster Teeth First member, check out New Game Plus, our first exclusive post show on the website, and we will see you next week.
Bye.